All right. This is June 11th, 2026. Okay. The police and the FBI need to look in my ex-daughter-in-law's bank accounts. If she has one dime that she did not earn, wasn't a birthday or Christmas gift or something like that, they need to seize her bank accounts. She's either took a payoff from the cartel or she has extorted money out of false pretenses from society, and she needs arrested for extortion. For those apostolic people to lie the other day again. Oh, all the money was turned over to Melissa. Melissa never got a dime. Never got a dime. Can't get a dime. No one got hurt. See, that's where I told you in the other video, and their mean games are pretend documented. See, that's where the two guys that showed up right when the case first started said they work for a drug lord. You want the police and the FBI's attention? Announce you work for a drug lord. And they were talking that Melissa was willing to help them get away with it. You're kidding. No, she's willing to have the kids lie. I told her to say, and they were whispering, giggling. You're kidding. No. You want the feds' attention? You just got it. They followed her around. Caught her friends with Dave's girlfriend, Michelle, and telling the kids to lie. And the one that admitted this whole thing was her family's debt to drug dealers. They ran a scam on me, trying to extort money from the government. Okay? And that they're the ones behind inciting Carl's family to steal his farm, threatening his life. They're extortionists. They're part of the big extortion ring Trump's after. Extorting money by victimizing people. Okay. Well, on Thanksgiving 18, an illegally bugged house. Okay. The kids were downstairs. We had a split level. You go up 8 steps to the living room, family room, bedroom, 8 steps down to the family room, full family room, full bathroom, laundry room. Then upstairs was a full kitchen, living room, then 3 bedrooms and a bathroom. Okay. Well, they were playing down in the family room. And they were playing boo, taking each one of us down to yell, ah! And just to please them, because they're little, everybody's going down reluctantly. You have to put up with, ah! And then act scared. Well, on the 3rd step back up, I heard, we hate Grandma. And the house wasn't meant for her. It was meant for Auntie Shaw and Papa. Grandma needs to get out. I thought, who the hell's Shaw? Look down there in a huddle going like this, laughing, talking crazy crap. Okay? I go up and I sit down next to Dixie, and I thought, who the hell is Michelle? Is it Michelle Calgill? That would serve Dave right. She was mean as a snake to her first husband. Tried to kill me for that mean girl. See, I didn't know about the young blonde girl. And Flora comes running up, my other granddaughter. They're saying mean things in the basement. She's like, stay out of it. Well, I go right up to John. I went, what on earth is going on? He's like, I don't know. He said, I told Melissa, his ex-wife, he just divorced her a few months before that. He said that you're going to be moving out, going through a divorce. She'll have the kids make up something, but don't worry about it. Okay? No one can say anything bad about you. She'll have her church people make up something too, but don't worry about it. Nobody can say anything bad about you. It'd just be because of the divorce. And that you're moving out. You shouldn't have said anything until it happened, but I did. Because I did, and no one can say anything bad about you. Don't worry about it. Okay? So I go to Dave. I record him. So is the police and the FBI. I said, I've never heard anyone. He said, and we talk about John saying he didn't know. And then just be made up because of divorce. He said, don't worry about it. John will take care of Melissa. I know you never hurt anyone. He said, Karen, I said, I've never hurt anyone. He said, Karen, you're good to the kids, you're good to the grandkids. You'd never hurt anyone. And I said, well, you don't use children in a divorce. And he said, Melissa needs to stay out of this. And no, you don't. And I said, and those church people, those nasty, dirty church people, making up stuff. Remember they used to make up stuff years ago when I went to Blaylocks? They were dirty stories when I heard them. And they would laugh at me, and I didn't even know anything about it. I remember that. He said, they all need to stay out of this. I thought, dear God, he's threatening to kill us all. They really need to stay out of this. Well, I went through all the times that I had seen him in the last year. I had seen him 5 minutes. Okay? Not 5 minutes. And a whole year not alone. It was that bad. We were busy fixing up one house, selling it, moving into another house. And then we're trying to fix it up, and then those people were keeping me so drugged up and being raping me, and I was so sick. And then between that and trying to work on that house, I didn't see anyone. Plus, John and Melissa had really good careers. They're electricians. They make big, huge money. Okay? And then they have their own friends. We normally only see them on the holidays or unless something happened. They have their own lives. They didn't need our help. And they were busy and active. So I go, well, in that whole year, I said, I don't think I've seen him 5 minutes and not alone. I said, if you go back to the Christmas Eve of 2017 where we had dropped off the bikes, and then when we came back, they said some other lady bought him that bike. Why would we thank you? I remember that they said somebody else bought the bikes, that we left name tags on, that we left there. And I said, Melissa was making fun of you for having pot in your system, like you didn't know what it was. He said, I know she did. That's when it all started. The following, the attempt to break in knew where the security system was after he got caught with pot in his system. He was meeting with these people. And he ended up crashing a machine and got caught with pot in his system. Got suspended for a week. Okay. I said Jackie was there, everybody. No one alone. We only sat and talked for a few minutes. Now, this is after Thanksgiving of 18, a whole year later. Okay, you start there. I said, we didn't see him. I think I said in the tape March. But March is when we put up our house for sale. We didn't move out till May. When we dropped John's stuff off, she came out and said hi, and the kids are running around saying hi. And I stood at the end of the car, and she's like, what are you doing here? We're dropping off John's stuff. Oh, put it against the house. And I said, we sat and talked. We talked to her for maybe a minute when you unloaded. I didn't see those kids again until the 4th. I said, remember, John was an hour late because he took the kids to a park. We had already ate. I did like almost an hour's worth of dishes. They come in and I make their plates. They yell pillow fights and run to the basement. Took 2 bites. I said, Jen and I grabbed some water and we went outside, and you, John, and Noah were playing ball, and Gabe's riding around the lawnmower. You could hear the kids giggling and playing from the basement. Okay? I said, and when we went inside to get dessert, he left through the basement door and didn't say goodbye because they were just stopping in to see the house. I remember that. I said, I only seen him at the table. He said, I know that. I said, so what on earth? See, I forgot one time in May we were in Maslin Walmart when we first moved out, and John and the kids were there, and they ran at us, Grandma Popo, what you doing here? Buying curtains for the basement. Just pass each other in time. That's the only time I seen him before the FBI was there. That's where, what the hell? It's like I'd like to at least see somebody if they're going to lie on me. See, John brought Kelsey, Riley, and Noah up, and they showed him the house, and then he drove us to Pizza Hut. We ate, and he dropped me off in the driveway. That was it. And that's where I said, I haven't even seen them. I said, so what on earth would they lie? Okay. Well, those two guys, see, the police and feds knew I didn't know because I hadn't been around them. They show up after Thanksgiving of 18, had a huddle. Now, these people are already announced they sold the log if people are showing up admitting they're watching. They said, why are they having those kids make that shut up? Oh, they're just trying to scare her into giving up the house. That's it. Her whole family speaking highly of her. Okay. Officer Marks, like Melissa, could go to jail for this. I'd hate to arrest her. Her kids are little. Why don't we just write it up? Her and the kids were showing off for Dave and his girlfriend. They're documenting in games of pretend. Other ones, Melissa's so stupid she made everything up when you were fishing with David. She's actually that stupid she didn't check where you were. The two guys for the drug lord show up. We got a real problem. Nobody actually got hurt. There's no proof of it. What are we going to do? And they walk around saying that in front of the cops and feds. What are we going to do? And one finally came up with it. He said, we could say she waited and took him to a psychiatrist. There's a big problem with that. Now, like the Massillon police told Mount Carmel, Illinois, in June 23rd to July 4th of 21, they're documenting me games of pretend she never hurt anyone. Like Officer John, January 12th, 22, 4:55 p.m., where those kids get taped stating they made everything up. Like Flora, if Flora wouldn't have stated it, I didn't know, because the police would say they'll make up something, call you a bad word. They knew I didn't know because they caught her when I was out with Dave. Okay? October 23rd, 2019, I was at Braille's first party. I said, do you know how mad I was when I heard those kids say they wanted the house for Auntie Shaw and Papa? Laura's like, that's not what they said. They said this. It was filthy. Josh was like, oh, don't say that again. It's not true. She said, well, of course it's not true. Well, of course it never happened. We made it up. They were games of pretend. Sat down next to me chuckling. I would have spanked them all. They better. Thank God I'm not their mother. See, my dad always said, children don't come with right or wrong. They don't come with sympathy or empathy. You have to teach it to them. You put the fear of God or the fear of you in them. Make them be good people. When they turn 18, they don't want to listen, they can get out. I would have marched those kids in front of the person, made them apologize. I would have marched them in front of everyone they lied to, and them apologize. I would have embarrassed the hell out of them. They would have never lied on another person again. And then they would have sat and wrote several hundred times, I will never lie on another person. I would have been one of those crazy mothers that went Nazi. You don't do that just because you like the girlfriend better. And she's a crackhead on top of it. Think about that. I don't care that John just divorced Melissa. I had more respect for Melissa than she did herself. I thought she was a better person. Okay? Now, I want you to think of the law. The law states if a doctor knows someone's being harmed, they have to report it to the police. What would the police told a psychiatrist? They're documenting mean jokes in an FBI case. Why is she taking her kids for counseling on mean jokes? She's abusing those children. You better find out why. Because it's one thing when you're a bitch, and there's another thing when you're being psychotic and hurting your children and trying to extort money. What is the law if you have your children pretend something happened to them and nothing bad happened to them? Trying to extort money to get somebody in trouble. It's 20 to life. Officer Mark was generous letting her go. Starr County Sheriffs in May of 21 were laughing at some guy named Kurt. If Kurt just found out all those kids were lying, he's slow. October 5th, 21, I was in Huntington Bank on Cleveland Avenue with a client. They were talking about that stupid girl lying again. And we go to leave. He said, who's that crazy Melissa? They all talk about lying everywhere we go. I said the ex-daughter-in-law friends with ex's girlfriend had the kids make up some mean games to pretend on Thanksgiving of 18. He's like, is she crazy? I said, yes. I told you I went, these people followed me, talk about severe stalking, down to Mount Carmel, Illinois, June 23rd or July 4th. I go, that weird Eric that laughed at everybody, November 18, 22, all the tapes before were me and not her. It was done for a stunt for people to turn on and they fell for it. Well, he's still pulling his scams. People's phones are going off around me. And the person that almost died to save her family lived through all that hell. People are calling me bad names because some drug dealer just lied to him. Drug dealer lied to him. And I lost it. They're walking by my car. We don't want you in our town. I almost died to save my family. And you're assaulting me because some drug dealer lied to you. I lost it. I started swearing you don't want me in your fucking shit ass horse town. You don't believe I'm innocent? I start screaming and swearing. I yell at the Maslin Place's number. Whole street went quiet. The guy yells out a few minutes later. They said they're documented mean games to pretend she never hurt anyone. There was FBI agents came in March 23rd, 23. We told these people to stay out of it. She's never hurt anyone. Nobody's ever seen anything. And it's some lady that thought she could make money off of it. Where did she think she could make money off of it? The law states, per documented injury, per set amount, nobody got injured. And then a real attorney would tell Melissa, keep her mouth shut. There's an FBI case. They have taped you telling the kids a lie, and the kids saying they're lying. You're going to end up in jail. A real attorney would tell her that. A real attorney would tell her that. They've got you, and you're going to go to jail. Carl, my new husband, his granddaughter, went to jail for years. Okay? Her husband, she knew he was abusing their 4-year-old. She didn't tell him. Can't hide it for long. He's in jail the rest of his life. And she went to jail for years as an accessory for not reporting him. Now, when she has a child, the state comes in within a few minutes of it being born and takes it away from her. She's never allowed to have custody of a child again. So, what would happen to Melissa if she didn't call the police? if what would have happened if she didn't take him to the hospital? She would have went to jail, just like Carl's granddaughter. See what I mean? You can't just wait and then take him to a psychiatrist. A psychiatrist has to report it. It has to be a police investigation. Why would the police look up Melissa? She's interfering in an FBI case. She had her kids make up documentary games or pretend. Why is she taking those kids to a doctor? And they tell that psychiatrist that. So, there's no injury. There's nothing but mean jokes. So where would she get money? See, that's where the police and the FBI need to check her bank accounts. Because those two drug dealers that said they worked for the drug lord said that she was going to help them get away with it. She's either took blood money from the cartel from where they sold all those women and children, or she has extorted money out of society on a scam. There's no more difference of a scam if she would have told people her kids had cancer. And then scam people out of a bunch of money. See, nobody went to the hospital. There's no police report. There's no pictures of injuries. There's no treatment for injuries. There's no police investigation. There's no physical evidence. There's nothing. A heavy-set white guy showed up last year in June outside Bob Evans. Her ex-daughter-in-laws were around town telling people something happened to her kids. I looked it up. Nobody's went to the hospital. There was no police report. There was no police investigation. There was nothing. And it's just her saying it. Oh, she's going to end up in jail. The law is if you have your kids pretend something happened to them to extort money out of someone or get them in trouble, it's 20 years. You can't make shit up like that. I had a dog bite. I went to a personal injury attorney. She said for all injuries, you have to have proof you were injured for you to have a case. You have to go to the hospital. They have to document injuries. They have to have treatment for injuries. And then she's pictures. I had to have a police report. You have to call the police. And because it's a dog bite, you also have to have a dog bite warden's report. Okay? Now that you proved you were injured, because you have to prove you were injured. You have to have proof. You can't just say it. Then you have to have evidence that person, that dog, that it was only that person or that dog that did it. And you can't just have a witness because you can pay witnesses off. And I said, well, if you want 100% proof where the dog bit me through my coat into my arm, it latched on and didn't let go. I have its slobber on my coat. I have its DNA. She went, now you have a case. She said, because they could always said another dog did it, da-da-da-da-da. You have to have physical evidence that person or that dog did it. You have to have a police report, police investigation. You have to go to the hospital. You have to have treatment for injuries. You can't just say it. So where they lie to people, Melissa's attorney blocks her FBI money coming in. Can she block it? Then I want to look at people. How retarded are you? She don't even have a case. She's got mean jokes. Mean freaking jokes. Like the investigator said, it's sick. And her family ought to be ashamed of herself. Sitting around laughing, making up stuff on Karen behind her back. She's risking her life to get information on those people, and they're run around making up lies behind Karen's back. Oh, let's see, what else? January 1926, they released Thanksgiving 18. People walked in and said those kids really were taped, saying they made everything up, and John totally defending them. None of this is funny. Oh, they released it in Alliance in 23. They were calling for Melissa's arrest. July 26, 25, when that investigator showed up at Walmart 62, 8 to 10 in the morning, said he told some couple not to say a word to me or not to ever talk to me like that again. He interviewed John years ago. He said nothing bad ever happened to him. Okay? Down in Magnolia, people were calling for Melissa's arrest for exploiting her children for profit. They released Thanksgiving of 18. I was in Alliance in 23. They released it then. They were calling for her arrest. And was it November or December 23? I was in Walmart on a strip on a Sunday night. An investigator's watching me and my client walk around. He said Melissa told someone if they paid for the harassment, they get all kinds of money back. You don't get money for paying for someone to be harassed. We taped those kids saying they were lying years ago. I'll take care of them. Walks out. They were talking about Melissa lying in Pennsylvania, Kentucky, and Illinois in 21. They sold the login. It went nationwide. Probably worldwide at this point. It's on the web. So, when people lie that Melissa got all the money from the case. Now, I have never been prosecuted for anything. Not going to be prosecuted for mean jokes. I have never been found guilty. Never sued for money. Did she get anything? No, you can't just steal. That's stupid. Can an attorney block an informant's money? Let's see. No, dumbass. You're in immunity from the government. And they're not going to withhold money from an informant for, of course it never happened. Of course it wasn't true. We made it up. So she doesn't have an attorney. See, May 9th, 26, I'm in Myers in Alliance. Okay? By the front registers. There's investigators. I'm tired of that so-called attorney for children. The guy said I looked him up, his credentials. He's not an attorney. It's just some guy Dave hired. They think it may be even his girlfriend's dad. It's that bad. They just been lying to everyone. So, if Melissa had took money from society on mean jokes and scammed people out of their hard-earned money on mean jokes, she needs to be arrested. That money needs to be seized and she needs to go to jail. If she took money from the drug cartel to help try to pull a scam on me, she needs to go to jail. That's one thing. They let her go for just being a bitch. When you're an extortionist, you go to jail. See what I mean? They need to check her bank accounts. She needs to be arrested. I was out in Bob Evans in Alliance yesterday. There was people by the window. Okay? They came in and sat down and they were talking. And one guy said, these people thought if they taped her saying everything, they could enter in court without her and steal all her money. And then it came out they drugged her and told her to say it before. And she uploaded, if you drug somebody and you talk to them, it's pharmaceutical torture and it's 50 years. People realize how not funny this is. See, that's where that church, that occult, thought they could pull a fast one. Like some guy called it. It's a bitch move. breaking in, setting up button cameras in somebody's home, taping them in a bathroom, washing themselves, Photoshop that in the other room and washing yourself. And these people admitted last year they were hiding in my house. I didn't know they were there. And as I'd walk by, they would stab me with a hypnotic drug. We lived out 10 miles out in the country in the big woods. In that woods, there was, I told Dave we needed an exterminator. There was bees and wasps. They would get in the house. Taking the broom and swatting them was an ongoing thing. We had giant, beautiful boulders in a pile. I put them up on a marketplace. Some guy got them for his house that was on Lake Milton. And he's like, there's bees nests all through there. They're stinging everybody. Okay. Then where there's like a rock bed, giant rocks for a flower bed and trees in there. We went to clean it out when we first moved there. And there was bees nests in there. And there was a lot of bees in those woods. Okay. And they would get in the house. So thinking I just got stung or bed, because I had swatted bees and wasps in that house when we first moved in. Would have been, ow, and then look around. You wouldn't think to look for someone. And they laughed that they actually hid behind doors and stabbed me real quick. Okay? Go in and sit down, take a drink, and the room went dizzy and black. She didn't even realize she got injected. Those drugs work that fast. And I thought, injected. Didn't realize it. And I got to thinking, I thought I got stung. We got bees in the house before. And I would swat them. And it was them. Hypnotic drugs cause sleepwalking. Works in less than a minute. The dangers of using them because you can eat, drink, drive a car, cook, have sex, and you don't remember a thing. You're under someone else's control. It is Audrey said that she's seen it up on TV, a news thing, that the drug cartel, it is their drug of choice. They load up syringes, go around, walk around, just jab somebody, and they look and think, what hit me? And then with less than a minute, you're wide awake, talking and responding, and you do what you're told. They did it to a U.S. Marshal's kid twice. She moved out of this area for safety. I met her at a storage unit. They did it to my coworker Dar and my neighbor Mike. They didn't know what happened to them. I'm sure more in this area. Okay. August 4th, August 5th, August 7th, 25th, and Walmart 62, they still have investigators that these people admitted to using hypnotic drugs on me. They got them tapes admitting again to drugging me and telling me to say it, and what kind of drug now. Calling Agent John a coward. They thought if they drugged me up and told me to say something horrible, have me being raped. Now think of this. The well water is orange, and it's chunky. It was so bad, we had to get a water treatment system. It took us a couple months. In between that, I bought a water, Coke, and drink. I drink a lot of Diet Coke. Okay? But you have to take a fast shower. You have to wash your hands after you use the bathroom. The water was so bad, we had to replace several faucets because it would stop up the faucets. We had to replace even the inner side of the toilets. I thought it was toxic. We're there not 10 days, and I'm covered in bruises, throwing up, severe personal infection. I'll tell you what, I went out to mow the lawn. God help me for why I would mow the lawn like that. I was probably planning on doing it. I always mowed the lawn at Lennox. I'm out there, I'm collapsing, my heart's racing through my neck, and the neighbor comes running over. I'm a nurse, can I help you? I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't hardly breathe. Here, they're drugging me the hell out of me. I'll mow your lawn for you. I don't have money to pay you. Money don't, neighbors don't charge each other. I feel bad, does a bunch of small talk. Finally lets them mow my lawn. Everybody knew what happened. Kept happening. giant orange, lemon, grapefruit-sized bruises, throwing up. I lost 18 pounds before I called the FBI. Here they're human trafficking me under drugs. I was going to the doctor for severe personal infection, bruises, throwing up, heart racing, dizzy, almost passing out. And I never had anybody in my home. Rapists playing on me in my home. Playing on me. Drugging me up and telling me to say stuff and have me being raped. Don't know who did it. See, that's where these whole people, when they say stuff to you, where did she ever meet you? I didn't. Where did I have you in my home? I didn't. Where did I talk to you? I did. Do I even know you? No. See, that's where investigators in June of 23, May or June of 23, told Forest Grove Drive in Akron, we don't want you to say a word to her. She's never met the man that did this to her. How do you do it? We don't know, but everything's documented, verified, everything's photoshopped on her before. They were drugging the hell out of me. In December of 23, January 24, investigators on a Sunday night out in Lyons said when the case first started, we found out Karen's ex-husband was keeping her so drugged up, they were drug beating, raping her, and she wasn't realizing what was happening. I went to the doctor. The doctor didn't put it together it was a rapist. I'm blaming the well water. And I told the doctor, I said, I feel stupid. Stupid. To think it was a well water and find out it was rapist. They said, no, it's actually a logical thought. Because if that water would have been toxic, you would have bruised, you would have had an infection, you would have been throwing up, and you would have been dizzy if it had a severe toxin in it. I said, we had it tested, it had iron and rust in it. That wouldn't have done anything. But if it would have been toxic, you would have had all those. So for you to think that that's actually logical. Here I'm being drugged, being raped. And human trafficked out of my own home by rapists. And the rapists want money. That's where it's rich. I've never talked to these people. I don't even know them. And they just run around causing chaos. They're part of that big extortion ring that President Trump and Vice President Vance is going after. Extorting money by victimizing U.S. citizens. They're part of the big extortion ring in the drug cartel. June 3rd or 4th of 23, I pull into Louisville. My son, John, he is amazing and smart. He got himself through college. He became an electrical engineer. He was a manager at several businesses, worked for the union, as a union rep, traveled, had several offices. So he has contacts into all kinds of companies. He even taught college at for the electrical college. Okay? So he has a lot of friends. Like I said, John and Melissa had their careers, their lives. We seen them most of the time on the holidays, unless they needed something. They were established. Some electricians pulling with different electrical company names on there, and they said, hey, that's John's mom. He said she's never heard anyone. And because of these people, he may never see her again. And he said she's never heard anyone. I know. And that's his mom. Just like he told the FBI. These people in 18 said, bring in the other John to get away with this. This guy about 3 or 4 inches taller than John walked by. He looked similar with a full beard, put his nose up in the air and walked off. May 24th, 26, he shows up. I had told Carl about that. Okay. And I said, hey, see that guy? He looks like my son John, sort of like the guy that years ago, but he had a full beard. He said, he does look like that picture of your son. He walks into Myers North Main. They still have a video of it with a girl white with black hair. And we walk in and he said, how did it go years ago? Oh, puts his nose up in there. I thought, oh my God, it's you. You just shaved. Girl gets on the phone. How stupid were they? Bring in the pretend John in here to verify everything in front of the police and the FBI. Oh, they were making fun of her because Agent John stole her money. See, that's the loophole he left open. The agent that told on me, told people he didn't care I was being drugged, being raped because some idiot called me a faker. The one on a recorded line made fun of me for those church people telling him they were trying to kill me because some idiot called me a faker, and how bad he talked to me and made fun of me for some guy named Pete, still don't know who he is, and some crazy doctor. I'll tell you what, when he said something about that Pete, I don't even know who he is. I thought, what are you doing lying about my brother? Because the only Pete I knew was my brother. I hadn't seen him in years. I talked to him on the phone. Because when they said, well, we could always use Pete's tape of Weird with yourself. I said, what are you talking about? I thought, why are you lying on my brother? I hadn't seen him in years. I talked to him on the phone. That's what I was thinking. I thought, why is he lying on him? And he said something else about him. See, I didn't know about the guy Dave hired on his own. I still don't know who he is. And then he said, well, I bet you're not gonna, or you're gonna say you don't know anything about the psychiatrist for sexual disorders of wanting your brother. At that point, I had to catch my breath. I almost yelled at him, why don't you stop lying? If I wouldn't have been so desperate for help, I would have hung up on him. I had to catch my breath. Then I thought, why had some other lady use my insurance? Half my medical records are hers. I got stuck with the copays. I wonder if it's one of hers. No, it's a scam. A bitch move. Sexual disorder for wanting your brother. My God, that's disgusting. It's like I don't even know who you are, or who you're talking about, or what you're talking about. And I'll tell you what, it took everything in me not to start screaming at that guy. Of why don't you stop lying? Here it's just a scam. It's just some guy Dave hired pretending to be a doctor. No doctor could ever be with them. It's HIPAA. Then you're in it with people saying they're trying to kill someone because some idiot called her a faker, and they're having her drugged for fake confessions and being raped under drugs, and you're part of the human traffickers? Yeah. And they didn't think it was a little... See, bunch of retards. They had the most ridiculous scam in the world. Stocking tapes with photoshopping and washing. Drugged and told to say horrible stuff with hypnotic drugs. They thought they would act all spy flick movie for the FBI. And told them that they had sodium pentothal reports. Like they said it wasn't even funny that they said they had that. Because you can't get it. They already know about hypnotic drugs and drugs like that make you sleepwalk. And they knew no doctor could be with them. Then you're saying you're in it with killers and people having people drugged, being raped, and human trafficked under drugs because some idiot called them a faker and you're supposed to be trustworthy. See what I mean by retards? See, Melissa didn't make up her mean games to pretend until after the case started. That's why I didn't mention it. But I'm going to go ahead and upload this. But the police and FBI, you know, John even asked me a year or two later to be a reliable name on a court record trying to get custody of his kids. They were talking about it June 7th, 26 in Walmart West House. Lady's like, I didn't know John asked her to be a reliable name to watch his kids on a court record, trying to get custody of them. And I couldn't help him because I was working 2 jobs. He ended up losing the kids, moved to Florida, married another woman, started a church. They have a baby and was happier than ever. He had to get away from the cult. And they were saying, and we found out he told all kinds of people that she never hurt anyone. Tell everybody not to say anything. So I'm going to put it this way. If Melissa has one dime that she shouldn't have, the FBI needs to see that she has either extorted money out of false pretenses out of society, or she took a payoff from the drug cartel. She doesn't have an attorney, and they don't have attorneys blocking my money. See, that's where my friend Walter Moss, he used to work at the Stark County Prosecutor's Office. He told me that how this is just a big fraud scheme. It took him 30 seconds. Okay? But we were talking where these people say, where that agent told on me, then he doesn't have the authority to ask you, stay quiet, it's illegal, it's a federal crime of blackmail. No judge could sign it. It's for risking your life to get information on those people. And only for that. And the FBI owes you. It don't matter if you work 5 minutes of the case or the whole case, they owe you. You stay in immunity the rest of your life. You risk your life to get them government information. But where that agent told on me, bullied me on the phone, he already had everybody in his office, then threatens me if I tell, and then left me up there to die and took my money. And that's why they're laughing, where they said it was a legal loophole. He did it on purpose. And these people are laughing that because now if the FBI doesn't pay me, they don't stand up for that case that he opened, the surveillance can get thrown out. And every drug dealer they arrested can sue for false arrest under fraud, and they'll all get out. And they're laughing. And for some reason, they don't think the FBI will go around that agent that told on me and talk to me like that. Within a few months, I had called down there and they said, Miss Hall, we're so sorry, he's no longer with the FBI. And if they don't... See, my original case, like Officer Mark Karen never lied to us once. She called and reported threats and attempts on her life. That's it. She didn't know about the rest of this. Her case is a threat and attempt to lie case. It led into the drug cartel. But the original case was only a threat and attempt to lie case. See, that's where in like December 23, January 24, when the case first started, we found out Karen's ex-husband was keeping her so drugged up, they were drug beating, raping her, and she didn't realize what was going on. They said it was a judge messed up there, and the drug cartel, they wanted this connection to stay out of it. And to find out it's just some guy saying he's a judge. See, that's where they're laughing, and they were laughing at me last month in the Bell store that the FBI would rather let all those drug dealers out. Let them sue them for tens of millions of dollars each for false arrest and fraud instead of paying her what little money they owe her. The drug dealers are dying laughing. They have to stand up for that case. Where this white guy, short black hair, walked by me within like the month of the case in Walmart 62. The investigators are one side, drug dealers on the other. And he's saying crazy crap. And when the investigators said, now him and his drama's gone, we can get these people they hired to hurt her. Have everybody follow him. Okay. Have everybody follow him. We don't, what is this problem? He can deal with his own drama himself, and we don't feed into religious heresy. September 10th, 25, I'm in the Tuscarawas County Courthouse prosecutor's office. We were trying to get a restraining order against Carl's stepchildren for threatening him. And out walks a white guy with black hair doing the mean stompy dance. I thought, I've seen that walk before. Where have I seen it? And it took me until lately to remember. Oh my God, that's the one they call drama. Judge Lori was complaining out in the hallway. Some office was down here and said there was no one around her. And she's the biggest liar. They're trying to get the case thrown out for fraud, that there's no reason for the surveillance. Oh my God. Walter said if the FBI does not call down that courthouse, they don't say you are one of their informants. It was a legitimate case. It was just a threat and attempt to lie case that led into the drug cartel. She never lied once. They don't stand up for you and stand up for that case. And if they don't wear that agent, they're laughing because he didn't pay me. Like they said, he didn't pay her on purpose. Because then it's FBI is defrauding a victim. They're the ones defrauding people of money, stealing money for themselves. They need to tell them, say, we found out that idiot didn't even give her card to get her money. We'll take care of it. It's getting taken care of today. Close that loophole. He said those are legal loopholes that make a case legit. Every informant gets paid. And they have to stand up for their case. And they want the surveillance of that former agent trying to get that case thrown out. They got him dead to rights. But if they don't, and they don't work swiftly, they could get the proceedings in the courts and the surveillance get thrown out. And every drug dealer, where the U.S. Marshal sees the case, got 801 swoop. Because you got to think the California, Judge Peters group from Florida, the Kingsman, Buffalo, New York, Michigan, and California. Then all the other drug dealers. There was one or two guys from North Carolina, one or two from South Carolina, Georgia. There was also one guy from Pennsylvania and one guy from Tennessee that was helping out here. And they would announce if they were drug traders, human traffickers, who they were for, like they were unstoppable. Unstoppable. And they got it all under surveillance. And the cartels played a mean game of who paid for the surveillance, the harassment that day. So they got information on all those different cartels. And then when they got it all together, let it back, they rescued people. Thousands went to jail. And like they said, she was part of a really, really big bust. And all those drug dealers will walk. They got the human trafficking gang out of Buffalo, New York, several things out of Michigan, drug dealers out of California. They got Judge Peters out of Florida. They got Kingsman. And all those people will walk. And tens of millions of false arrests under fraud. And Walter started laughing. He said they actually can. The FBI has to close those loopholes. Every informant gets paid. They're not defrauding people themselves. He said, and they have to stand up for that case and stop that former agent. Because once you're a paid informant and they acknowledge that case, that it's legit, and they'll take care of him, that they're not defrauding people, then it closes it. But otherwise, it is considered fraud that they actually defrauded you. And they better fix it fast. I've wrote the president, I've wrote the OPR, I have, in the DOJ, I wrote FBI Internal Affairs. In 1,000, I forget how many children were human trafficked out of Ohio. They found hundreds, but more are still missing and gone. That's not counting the women they grabbed. The mass murders will happen again if those people get out. It's just closing the loophole, so it never can be